Nolan Wells went to enjoy July 4th on Horn Island off the coast of Mississippi with his friends. He ended up dead, and early on the sheriff said they believed he drowned and they did not suspect foul play. This upset Nolan's family. I mean, how could they come to this conclusion without an investigation? So Nolan's family reached out for help.
Why do you say we need to be retained to lead an independent investigation? It is because the family has distrust of the Mississippi law enforcement officials.
The family is working with attorney Ben Crump and had a private autopsy performed.
He found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone.
Something else
The fact that they have chosen not to respond. The fact that they've chosen not to be transparent and to share information. It's not just a failure of duty, but it's a betrayal of public trust. Thus, who is hiding the truth? The question hangs in the air like the humidity over Horn Island. The family is asking for honesty. They are asking for accountability. They are asking for the truth about what happened to their son. The state's silence is deafening. The family's preliminary findings offer a roadmap of negligence. The public is watching. The answer is not in the press conference. It is in the documents. The family's attorney has laid out the specific issues. The state is not cooperating with the family's investigation. The evidence that was removed from the body is the key to the entire case. The family is asking for the public to demand answers. The story is far from over. This is a case that needs to be reopened and investigated from the ground up. The facts of this case are tragic, but the pattern is familiar. The gap between the official narrative and the evidence is a chasm. The state said no foul play. The independent pathologist who examined an incomplete body cannot rule it out. The state had the complete body. They held back the neck.
What exactly Nolan's plans were. So that has to be resolved. And finally, like, what was he wearing when he was found? This is now a big issue in the case. We saw him, right? He's wearing a bathing suit in some of the images that have become public that people have tracked down from earlier that day. I think the latest that I've seen is about 2:30 in the afternoon. And we know the boat left around 4:30. So about 2 hours before one of the boats leaves, at least one of the boats leaves, he's wearing his swim trunks. Now, Ben Crump at the press conference where they're talking about the autopsy made a statement and revealed some information, and this absolutely sent shock.
Why? The answer could be that they saw something that contradicted their narrative. The question of how Nolan died is now inextricably linked to the question of why his body was mutilated before the second autopsy. The pathologist's report raises 7 specific unanswered questions. Each one is a bullet point on a memo of negligence. What were the circumstances that led to Nolan Wells entering the water? What was the body position when found? Was there water in the airway? Is there evidence of injury to the neck? Is there evidence of intracranial hemorrhaging? What was in the stomach? What are the toxicology findings? The family is demanding answers to each one. The state has not provided a single one. The family's attorney has pointed out that the independent pathologist could not determine the presence of water in the lungs. This is a crucial detail in a potential drowning case. Without the ability to examine the lungs, the pathologist cannot definitively rule drowning in or out. The state is in possession of that evidence. They are holding it. This is not a situation of a clerical error. This is a case of a fundamental breakdown in the chain of custody and transparency. The fight for justice for Nolan Wells is not a fight for a political narrative. It is a fight for the evidence. It is a fight to hold the system accountable. The family is not demanding a specific outcome. They are demanding a process that is transparent.
Nancy Grace also said it and sort of emphasized that, yeah, he was fully clothed. So that's where that all comes from. But apparently there's no discussion between the United Cajun Navy and the family, which Ben Crump seemed to indicate, unless he was saying we just learned from watching Nancy Grace's show. So it's like a game of telephone. So the bottom line, and I think this is correct, the only thing that matters now are the facts. And the facts are he was not fully clothed. Now, take a look at this. This was also posted by United Cajun Navy on X. and they want help. They want sharing this. This is one of our followers found this photo on social media of a random family picture from Horn Island on the 4th of July. We believe that may be Nolan Wells in the background. We're looking for the owner of this photo and a possible timestamp. Thanks in advance. Again, that's significant. Trying to put together a timeline is very, very helpful. And if you have a photo, you don't know exactly when it was taken, the person who took it probably could figure it out. So if they could figure out when this photo was taken, and if it is Nolan Wells, now all of a sudden you're filling in more of the timeline of where he was.
Thorough, and just. The system has failed them so far. The moral refrain that echoes through this case is simply, the state held back the truth. The state held back the neck. The state held back the answers. The state held back the truth. The pathologist's report is a preliminary finding, but it is a damning one. It shows that the official investigation was a failure from the start. The family has been left to piece together the truth from a corpse that has been stripped of its most telling parts. The story is a tragedy, but it is also a warning. To conclude this episode of Project Cold Case, we direct you to one specific publicly available document, the official report from Dr. Roger Mitchell's independent autopsy, which can be found in public court filings associated with the case. We ask you a direct question. Given that the state's autopsy held back the neck structures and the independent pathologist could not rule out foul play, why has the local sheriff's office stood by its initial "no foul play" declaration? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your analysis. If you found this breakdown compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to Project Cold Case. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update as we continue to follow this investigation. We don't just cover the story. We follow the evidence.
Lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed.
And some reaction there at the end that did the first pathologist not do what he or she was supposed to do? So Justice Scott Morgan, break this down for us a little bit.
Ticking clock here is not just a legal one, it is a narrative one. What exactly happened on Horn Island that day? The story is a toxic mix of conflicting witness accounts and missing evidence. Reports suggest there is a dispute between the accounts of his friends and what the evidence may show. His parents have pointed out that their son, a star athlete, would not have just vanished. The family has pleaded for videos and witnesses to come forward. There are reports of disturbances on the island. The waters are muddy. The body itself was found in questionable circumstances. The family claims he was found fully clothed, but he was seen on video without a shirt earlier in the day. The contradictory accounts do not end with the body. Attorney Ben Crump claimed the United Cajun Navy found Nolan fully clothed. The United Cajun Navy contradicted that statement, saying he was found only in swim trunks. This seems like a simple contradiction, but it's a critical discrepancy. It suggests a breakdown in communication at the most basic level of the investigation.
Took gastric content out of there, I would imagine, because we're not just interested in water, we're interested in what's going on at a chemistry, from a chemistry standpoint, toxicologically. So going to be absent that. And the second pathologist is not going to be able to appreciate all this because the body has literally been through another autopsy. The first autopsy, so samples have been taken, retained, all those sorts of things. The second physician, though, did state that he took tissue samples and has submitted them for histology, which means that you're going to put that stuff on a slide, you're going to look at it, and take a look and see what's going on microscopically in these sections. One question that I think that I would like to see answered, because if drowning is on the on the menu here relative for consideration, and it should be, I want to know if they did diatom testing, which are these little algae that exist in certain bodies of water. This is on Horn Island. That's in the Gulf. And we know that that's saltwater, right? So there are certain diatoms that you would find in there. That means that as you take on this water, this stuff is going to be processed in your system. And you'll see that microscopically. It's quite fascinating to see. And you can actually identify the little creatures, these diatoms that are left behind, and they're very distinctive. So I'm hoping that the folks in Mississippi, are going to do that testing, because it's something that should be on the table. You should be considering.
Absolutely. Incredible insight. Joseph Scott Morgan, appreciate your valuable time. Thank you so much. That's it for us, folks. This time, I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.